Hello. I'm just waiting a few seconds for Facebook to find me some folks. Oh. And there, I bet you that's Christine. Yes. Hi, Christine. Oh, there's the kitty. Oh, okay. Down you go. Just not quite yet. Oh, Melissa, Jen, hey, wow, wow, wow. And hello back to you, Christine. You had a busy week. Trade shows are fun, right, Jen? Jan and I have done long stays at these shows that are, oh, and there's Gina. Oh my goodness, we're going to have to get going because, hey, Gina, I hope your new job is going fantastic. Hello, Jan. You had a busy weekend this weekend with all your grandbabies? Okay. The therapy cat's back. All right. Let's get started because I'm really excited about tonight's session. Oh, I'm so glad that your job is awesome. There's nothing better than having an awesome job. Jan, is your new job awesome as well? That you've been promoted as well? There's a lot of you gals are doing amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. That's great. Well, tonight we are talking about meditation unplugged. And what I mean by unplugged is that I just want to talk to you a little bit about some of the, so glad to hear, Jan, so glad to hear. A little bit about the unplugged is, oh, yes, and Ratty's sending lots of love to everybody too, and I just got a lovely kiss on the ear. I have been really, really digging deep into, as much as I have become a very regular meditator, and I use two different types of meditation. I'm going to talk to you about that. But what I've also done. Hi, Caleb. I have a Caleb too. I have a grandson named Caleb. I love your name. And I liked all your pictures this weekend. So, back to meditation. Jan has a grandson named Caleb, and so do I. So, of course, they're amazing. All grandchildren are amazing. So, the back to meditation. I'm just like squirrel. Talk about grandkids, talk about this, talk about that. The meditation. So I've been really going deep into the idea. I've always recognized that mindfulness is mindset is a prerequisite to mindfulness. Mindfulness is a prerequisite to emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is a prerequisite for long-standing, emotionally balanced happiness. Solid leadership skills, solid managerial skills. I've had a shower, but that here must be very dirty. So I've been doing a great deal of work because this really does get very interesting within my book that I'm writing, because a lot of the common themes that go through the management book that I'm writing are around effective communication, and a large part of that, as we know, is effective listening and how to be able to hear what people are saying, hear what they're not saying, but also hear it in a non-judgmental way. And mindfulness is a fantastic way to get that. So, and I've been really I've read recently a book that was put out by Google by one of their early engineers that wrote this book, and they now have a very successful program on mindfulness that they circulate all over the world. And I looked at the price of the program in Toronto, and it's a lot of money. It's $1,800. So I can do that. We can do that. We can do this. So let me leap right into. I'm going to give you a little bit of the why of meditation. I want to be able to give you a compelling story so that it will make sense to you, because you'll only do things that make sense to you, that are relevant to you, that are going to make your life better, easier, more fulfilled. This little guy is just a little furball. And it used to only be sort of the West Coast hippie tree huggers that did meditation, and for those that are in my age bracket, that, the Beatles, they got heavily into meditation and the Maharishi, and they brought forth all this wonderful deep Indian philosophy about, and it was mindfulness, really, but it was also a little bit part of their brand, in that they were a very different group of people, but they were, for a lot of those folks, they're kind of ahead of their time, and they were using a lot of different kinds of psychedelic drugs to take you into some of those different areas. I just, when I as you know, I am a voracious reader, and I recently read a book about, and I shared that on the wall, on the private wall, about stealing fire. That book about stealing fire, and that's the book that left me with the thought of, gee, I wished I had done maybe a little bit of drugs when I was younger, to just experiment with some of this unique, boundaryless thinking. But no, I was kind of stuck in a textbook doing my thing. It wasn't the right time. And now I'm at an age where I don't need to kill any more brain cells. They're doing it all on their own. So I'm going to have to get that kind of fantastic, light feeling through meditation. And I think that's very, very possible. But so it used to just be the hippies and the tree huggers, and they just didn't have a ton of credibility in terms of, sure, they can do that, they can smoke pot, and they can go off and go into their own little world and do their thing. But those folks, some of them, what they did was they actually started to they were very creative thinkers in lots of ways, and they started creating companies like Apple and Google and Yahoo and probably Starbucks, but who knows? No, that was not intended to be a judgment. I have no judgment on that. But some of these folks that were able to take some of this early meditative thinking and stress reduction and refocus themselves, that there's some massive companies that actively support, actively encourage meditation within the workplace. And they don't do that because they are fantastically generous and kind, and they want their folks to be happy. They want them to be happy, yes. They want them to be happy so that they can be more focused and that they can be more productive. And there is very significant research that is supporting that. So some of the companies that some of the companies, so I did US and Canadian companies as well, because a lot of folks that look at the replays of these Facebook Live are US based. So of course Google is really they really are sort of leading the pack on that. Apple, Prentice Hall Publishing, Nike, AOL, Time Warner, Yahoo. And in Canada, we've got BMO Financial, Ontario Hydro, and Conference Board of Canada. And I know that the company Sage, there's a few companies called Sage, but there's one that is aromatherapy based. And I know they have, within the, I'm a Royal Roads grad for my business certification, and I know that they used coaching and they used meditation early on, and they have done extremely well. And there's a lot of those companies. Lululemon, although I have a little bee in my bonnet just because I don't like the original owner. He's a pud. But everybody knows that. But they of course, they're in that business of yoga and meditation and those kinds of things. So they certainly support that. So you wouldn't see these kinds of, we're speaking about meditation and stress reduction, increased focus, increased sense of well-being. We do that so that we can be happier. We can be happier systemically, and that's the best kind of happiness that there is. Where you ever just get fleeting thoughts of feeling really happy. I went out the door the other morning to do something, and there was these little crocuses. And there was all kinds of them. And I just had such a lovely sense of happiness that I had to post it on the wall, because it was, what a lovely thing. Eckhart Tolle probably is just jumping up for joy when he hears stuff like that. But I know, Christine, when you're on your horse, you are in another place. You're not in the world of business. You're not stressed about various things. You go to a different place. Gina, I suspect you're exactly the same when you are on the golf course. And that's one of the things that actually I want to talk about is meditation can occur in the craziest places. Let me just make sure. I want to make one more point. I just checked my notes to make sure I didn't miss any key points. Just as a little tidbit of information, the average worker gets interrupted every 11 minutes. Isn't that interesting? And the research is suggesting that it takes up to 25 minutes for that person who's been interrupted to get back into that same flow of productivity that they were in before. And that's sort of the groundwork for why companies really encourage their employees to do various things that would enhance or increase someone's ability to refocus. So that if you're getting interrupted every 11 minutes, and I actually think that is, I think people get interrupted even more. Hi, Elaine, welcome. But you can see the lost productivity if you are being interrupted every 11 minutes and it's taking you over twice that long to get back into your headset and your mindset and your flow and everything else. So I'm now finished with my little why would we meditate, and I hope that because there's a business application for it, and that is the lunch and learn that I'm going to be doing coming up fairly soon. Is doing lunching and learning about how we can take mindfulness and move it to the emotional intelligence, which is really the self-awareness part, and how you can improve your success in that area. Now I'd like to move a little bit to the how can you do that. So, but let's can I read for you a definition that makes good sense to me, and I hope it makes good sense to you as well. So meditation is a practice, a kind of non-elaborate, non-judgmental presence centered in awareness, in which thoughts, feelings, and sensations that arise in the attention while you are meditating is acknowledged and accepted as is. So the idea is that you simply, and we're going to be talking about mindfulness meditation first, and then we'll talk much more briefly about guided meditation. So we're talking about mindfulness medication. Yeah, it is a medication of sorts, but it's a natural one. I'd like to move this kitty down because he seems to need his claws out, and he's not overly trusting that I'm not going to drop him. So I got like a quarter inch in my flesh, which is really kind of eating away at my concentration. So mindfulness meditation. I want to say Don't you hate it when Freud comes to visit? Oh my God, it's so awful. Mindfulness meditation is taken from the sort of traditional Buddhist thinking. It's not a religious, it's not secular in any way. It is for some religions, they use meditation to meet their source or whatever they call their God figures. The Buddhists were focused on meditating to create self-awareness and to create a spirit of kindness. And that is the non-judgmental component where, and I'm going to explain when we get into the easiest way to do this is, let me just explain. All right, so there are, how many steps do I have? I've got five steps that are, these are my thoughts of five steps to think about when you're going to meditate. So the first one is, do not limit yourself to your cushion or your chair or your bed or your floor. You can meditate anywhere you want. You can meditate in the shower. You can meditate when, at every red light. If you happen to find that you're trying to get somewhere and you are getting every red light humanly possible, that's a perfect opportunity to do a little meditating, open eye meditating, of course. And I'm gonna talk to you about that tactical part of it. But don't limit yourself when you're walking. You've heard me talk before about how I will, when I go for a walk, I will go and I will listen for birdsong only. And I'm very focused on just the songs of the birds and the different songs of the birds. And what that does is that keeps my mind very centered and focused on one thing. I'm very mindful of my breathing, in with my nose, out with my mouth. I'm sure I look really scary. That's why I take the big dog with me. They think I'm talking to him. But just keep doing that. Just breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Anywhere you want, you can do it. Okay? So most people go, I don't have time. Well, that's what you've got. You've got time. That's all we've got. That's all we own is time, really. And you can make time in the craziest places. I've started actually spending more time in the shower doing that, thinking about how does the water feel on my back? How does the water feel on my head? How does the water feel on my face? Just being aware of sensations and what things feel like. And that keeps you in the present. It keeps you now. And so there's no fear, there's no anger, there's none of those, past or future-based emotions connected to it. You're right here, right now. Sometimes it's just really nice, and you can use some of the aromatherapy stuff in the shower. You can put a few drops of eucalyptus or something, and whoa, that is so good. Okay, so let's talk about. I like ambiance. More so at night when I meditate, and I do a different kind of meditation at night, which I'll talk about in a second. So I do mindfulness meditation in the morning to get myself ready. My routine is I get up, I make my coffee, I drink my coffee, I do my mindfulness meditation, I do my journaling, and then I'm ready for the day. And but at night I like to have my Himalayan salt candle. I like essence that you true hippie stuff. I have one of those French flame things that has oil in the bottom, so it flames up for a little bit, and then you blow the flame out, and it's this beautiful smell. I'm really I really react favorably to aromatherapy, to the point where I'm actually thinking of including some aromatherapy into the mindfulness stuff. But anyway, get yourself in a spot. If you're not doing the walking meditation or the red light meditation or the longest line at the grocery store meditation kind of thing, but if you have a little bit of time, and start small. It's one of those things where, don't, it's like working out. You don't do it too hard the first time, because then you're going to hurt yourself and you can't do it again for a while. So with meditation, start with a couple minutes, 5 minutes, that, just, and put time. I use the timer on my phone all the time, and I'll set that timer. And I have my aromatherapy, and I have all that kind of stuff. And in the morning, I don't use any music or anything like that. It is just silent. And I focus on my breathing. Breathing in, hold, breathing out. Breathing in, hold, breathing out. Now, your mind will go off to crazy things. It'll go off to what you've got to do when you go to work, what work you've got to do as soon as you're finished your meditating. Recognize it, gently bring it back. And the reason I say, be gentle with yourself, hi Nilu, is because everybody's mind wanders. It just does that. That's what the mind does. But every time it does that, and you gently bring it back, and you focus it again on your breathing, in, hold, out, that's like you've just done a sit-up. That you can't get a six-pack without doing sit-ups. Well, you can't become mindful until you go through hours and hours and hours of gently pulling that monkey brain back into its relaxation. And so, that's the actual work of meditating. I know when I was, before I got as involved in meditating as I've become, I used to see it as, pardon me, this is a personal failure. My mind is so busy, and many people's minds are just really, really busy, that, I just can't seem to do that. Yes, I can. Hi, Olga. Yes, I can do that, but I have to keep practicing bringing my mind back and not calling it nasty names and not being sarcastic, just gently bringing it back. And remember, a few weeks ago, we talked about labeling some of the emotions or the thoughts that you're having. That, as you become more experienced, you'll be able to do that. So if you get, your mind goes off on something, and it's an emotion that is not all that comfortable. Once you recognize, oh, well, I see that anger has surfaced. That's hitting me right in the stomach. That's where my anger hits me, right in the stomach. Okay, you can move on now and get back to your breathing and just keep going in, hold, out. Do that for, 2 minutes or whatever it is you think you can do. But my advice is start small steps. Do that for a week. Next week, maybe add a minute to it. That you will do the work you need to do by gently pulling it back, and that's the work of meditation. And that's why when you don't understand, or it's not been explained to you, that is the workout, that it is a large part, it's the biggest part of the whole meditation process. That's the refocusing. Does that make sense? Can I have a kitten? You have to get down. Can you give me a thumbs up or a heart or something if that makes sense to you? I do know that there's always a little bit of a delay. Last week I was watching, I had on my Big Mac, I had the program on, and this kitty just makes my nose so itchy. Excuse me. Okay. All right. So, we're getting at the bottom of the hour. Okay. Another little bit of just sort of housekeeping around meditating. You can either Jan says she's working on her meditation right now. The house has got very noisy all of a sudden. I'm glad it makes sense. That's super. When you meditate, you can either meditate with your eyes closed, or you can meditate looking at a flame. Some people like to have a candle and they look at the flame, or a spot, a flower, or something that just, just doesn't add stimulation to you. I usually close my eyes. It's just a personal preference of mine. But and I always start. Super. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I do realize there's a delay, so I always start my meditation with an intention, and I'll say something like, it's my intention to create creative energy for my work today. And so I just kind of set an intention. And other ones are, I'm setting an intention to focus on a particular, I've been doing a lot of, I want to focus on the writing of my book. And so I'm setting that out. And so I encourage you to think about, what is your intention that you would like to set for your meditation. And do find yourself, like for many people, especially people who are, that they're close to nature, that they often do a lot of meditating in nature. And the nature sounds, I don't know if you know or not, they run at about 540 megahertz. And that is actually supposed to have cellular healing capability. Those megahertz is why people often say, well, get out into nature. You're all stressed out. Get out into nature. Well, they're actually giving you better advice than they realize, because the sound structure is really, really healthy. So, there's a number 5 is to just keep it brief. Don't overextend, because then you'll get frustrated and you'll think, oh, I can't do this. But remind yourself at the end of your meditation, not in your meditation, because that's taking your mind somewhere else, that for every time you brought your thoughts back, you've actually done a brain sit-up. Okay? So the other type of meditation, hi Ruth, the other type of meditation that is very popular is guided meditation. And I often will use guided meditation at night, because I like the music. I like, I've got a few people that I listen to that their voices are very, very soothing for me. And they often will do what's called a body scan kind of meditation, where you start with your feet or you start with your head and you work down. I like that at night, and that's just me. But as I said, my preference in the morning is to do the mindfulness meditation, where at night I really like the guided meditation. And I've searched through, there's tons of free stuff on YouTube that is really, really fantastic for guided meditation. And some of those I fall asleep in, and I'm okay with that. My morning part, I manage a state of relaxation but alertness, that I'm not on the verge of falling asleep, because I sit up. I usually actually sit in a chair. I haven't found a meditation pillow that I really like yet, although I'm heading to the States in a few weeks, and I might find one there, and I can get my friends to bring it back over the border to their cottage, because it was like, these things are big and they're heavy and they don't fly well. Anyway, that is meditation unplugged. It was my intention tonight to just give a few tips that I have learned from doing, and tips that I've learned from research, to help you in your meditation process. And I hope that you found it helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Excuse me for blowing my nose again. I do this every time. So professional. Any questions that you have about meditation challenges or opportunities? Thanks, Jan. Good night. Okay. Well, given that, I will say good night to you. Have an absolutely fantastic week, and I shall see you next Monday. Bye, everybody. Thanks for all the hearts. Yay, 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 yay.